COQ just did something that could decide the next phase of its entire cycle. And most people are looking at the wrong metric. Last week, the focus was simple. Could COQ hold the major support zone between roughly 5.4 and 6.3 million market cap, or was another breakdown coming? Now we have our answer. COQ didn't collapse. Instead, buyers stepped in and pushed the market back toward 6.7 million market cap. That doesn't sound dramatic, but compared to the previous report, it's an important improvement. The market is no longer falling freely. It's actively defending support. Now, here's where things get interesting. The larger trend is still bearish. COQ remains below the key 8.97 million resistance level, meaning the lower high structure remains intact. Until that level is reclaimed, no major trend reversal can be confirmed. But underneath the chart, the story becomes far more interesting. Despite months of price weakness, holder growth continues. The latest data shows approximately 109,639 holders, a new high compared to previous reports. That's significant because declining projects usually lose both price and participants at the same time. COQ isn't doing that. Price remains weak, but participation remains stable. Now let's change gears. The latest market activity shows roughly 695 transactions over 24 hours, with 508 buys versus 187 sells. There were 94 buyers compared to only 40 sellers. At first glance, that sounds extremely bullish. But there's a catch. Price isn't moving higher. That suggests the average seller is larger than the average buyer. Buyers are present, but they still haven't absorbed enough supply to force a breakout. And that's exactly why the next resistance level matters so much. If COQ can reclaim and hold above 8.97 million market cap, the conversation immediately shifts toward 13.17 million and potentially 16.95 million. Until then, the market remains trapped inside a larger accumulation range. Now here's the biggest development compared to the last report. Volume continues shrinking. Many traders see declining volume and assume nobody cares anymore. But context matters. Earlier in the cycle, huge volume accompanied panic selling and violent declines. Today, the market is drifting lower on relatively modest participation. That's not what panic usually looks like. Instead, it looks more like seller exhaustion. Each move lower is achieving less than the previous one. Sellers still control the chart, but their influence appears to be weakening. So what changed since the last report? Price improved from roughly 5.9 million to 6.7 million market cap. Support continues holding. Holder count reached new highs. Buy participation exceeds sell participation, and downside momentum appears weaker than before. The bears still control the larger trend, but for the first time in weeks, the bulls have evidence that support is being defended rather than simply tested. Everything now comes down to one question. Can COQ reclaim 8.97 million market cap? Because if it does, the entire conversation changes. If you enjoy deep dive COQ analysis covering market structure, holder growth, liquidity trends, support levels, resistance zones, and market momentum, subscribe and turn on notifications. We're tracking every development, and when the next major move arrives, you'll want to see it before everyone else.